have been living in diaspora for a long time. You've been investing back home. You've also made mistakes. You're carrying scars with you. You also want to come back home at some point, and you're scared. You have dependents back home who depend on every dollar that you send to them. If this is you that I'm describing, I want to tell you something. Start thinking like a Mzungu. Start investing like a Mzungu. Listen to this series and your life will never be the same again. God bless. See you. How can people in the diaspora support their dependents here without compromising their own long-term financial goals? It's a big dilemma. Before, I think during our parents' time, they used to migrate from upcountry, they come to Nairobi, and their dependents will be in upcountry. Well, so if you came to Nairobi, it did not matter what you used to do. Whether you are a sweeper or a banker or whatever it is, the people back home, upcountry, knew you had a lot of money and they expected you to support them. And that created tension. Now, in today's era, we have another generation of people that have migrated to abroad. And we normally call them today people living in the diaspora. It does not matter what they do. They are struggling to make their ends meet. But the people here believe as long as you are living in the US or in, America or in London or in any of the developed economies, you have the power of the dollar. And they automatically expect you to be doing very well and to support them. And if you don't do that, if you don't support them, you are perceived to have disconnected from your family or to have become proud, and you forgot your family and decided to become a Mzungu like the other Mzungus. So it's a big dilemma. It creates a lot of tension. So we did an interesting survey a couple of years ago. On average, Kenyans living in diaspora send about $200 to support their families here every month. And I mean, on average, each person in diaspora would send about $200 here. Now, that presents us with a bit of a problem. One, for how long can they continue supporting their dependents? Because there is no end date, there is no expiry date. So you are carrying this burden and there is no visibility on when this burden will fall off, unless your dependents die or something happens. Number two, what if you live in diaspora and you lost your job? Can you still be able to maintain that? The people here are not in that environment, so they are completely oblivious of a season like that one. Three, what if the person in the diaspora actually dies or they become disabled and that income is cut off? Your father, your mother, or your siblings you are supporting to go to school, it means their lives will be suddenly disrupted and lives will be affected. And this is a very big risk, and I'm extremely passionate about breaking this sort of dependency because of that very, very reason. So we as Nabo Capital, we began asking ourselves, how can we help? What size of portfolio can we put together and be able to help those people in the diaspora to support their families here without going into their pocket. And we came up with a magic number. It was 4 million shillings. If you have 4 million shillings, you can send an equivalent of $200 to your loved one here, or that portfolio can disburse $200, which is, then it was 20,000. Now it is a bit of a different number because of exchange rate difference. This portfolio can fund your dependents while you are away without you having to go back into your pocket. And what that does is extremely powerful. It will make sure you insulate your family, your loved ones, whom you desire from your heart to support them, from being exposed to the risks that you face back there in the diaspora, like losing your job, or even you losing your own life. Nobody wants to leave their mother or their father in a difficult situation. So this portfolio can help people in the diaspora to break this cycle of dependency. And I'd say instead it can help them to empower their loved ones to stand on their 2 feet instead of empowered or enabling or funding this bad cycle of dependency. So the question is, if I have dependents, if I live in the diaspora and I have dependents in Kenya or in any other African country, my parents, they need medication, they need support with their food because they are old age and they are beyond their prime years of earning. So the question is, how do we start? And there are not very many people who have 4 million shillings sitting somewhere, or in today's terms, an equivalent of $31,000 thereabout. If you have the 4 million shillings or the $31,000, just quickly come open an account in Nabo Capital. We'll do an investment plan. We'll also make sure that we have your dependents jointly in the account, so that then we are able to disburse to them $200 or 20,000 shillings every month to meet the needs that you have been meeting so far. The big question is, what if you're in diaspora and you have this kind of dependence and you don't have the 4 million shillings? You can start putting together a portfolio or accumulating for sorry. Yeah, I've seen you reacted. The way you react, it informs me. We are all connected here. So, if you live in the diaspora, you don't have 4 million shillings, you have dependents, budget is tight. There is only one way and one way to break away from this thing. You need to start putting aside something else beyond the $200 that you send to your parents. You call it $100 or another $200. I would open an account with Nabo Capital, and every month, besides sending $200 to my parents, I would also be sending $200 or $100 or $500 or $1,000 to this account in Nabo Capital, with the objective that I want it to accumulate to $31,000, which is equivalent to 4 million shillings today. If that takes me 3 years, then it means it will take me 3 years to completely break free from this dependency cycle. If it takes me 5 years, it means after 5 years, I'll have broken free from this dependency. And that means my parents no longer depend on me. My brothers and my sisters' education no longer depends on me. So it's not about how much you have today, it's about starting with whatever you have. Be it 100, be it 200, be dedicated, put that money aside. Just know the objective is to make sure that you break free. Once you break free, then you can also be able now to address your long-term needs. And the sooner you do that, the better. Because many people in diaspora are funding their family back home at the expense of their own long-term financial goals. Meaning, they are also setting themselves to become dependent to their own children. Because nobody is going to remain in their prime years of earning forever. So if you are 40, another 10 years will dramatically change your power, your earning power. So the time is now. You've got to start now to free yourself and to free your dependents from becoming your dependents forever. If I live in the diaspora and I send to my loved ones $200 every month, and I know those are just the basic things that I must, it is a must, but there's always more that you send because there are some emergencies that will arise. But let's work with these $200. If I do that consistently for the next 10 years, I will have sent to my family an equivalent of 3 million shillings, just slightly over 3 million shillings. That money I would have worked hard to get 3 million shillings, and 3 million shillings would have left my wealth. Are you together? Now, when I put together a portfolio in Nabo Capital and I quickly accumulate it to 4 million shillings, I can disburse the same $200 to my loved ones every month for the next 10 years, and after 10 years, I'll still have my 4 million shillings. And this is how wealthy people think. Wealthy people think building wealth, they build wealth like a staircase. Once your wealth gets to 3 million, it should never come below 3 million. You get? So these 4 million shillings that you have put aside in Nabo Capital is still your portfolio. But the fruits of that portfolio are what you're funding the needs of your loved ones. Meaning, 10 years from today, you still have a portfolio worth 4 million shillings, and maybe those dependents will no longer be depending on you. So you have 4 million shillings to do something else with, and also you have protected your portfolio from unnecessarily leaking money. So maybe 10 years from today I'll be back in Kenya. Now, I have not only funded my parents or my siblings who are in school, but I also now have a portfolio that can do something for me worth 4 million shillings. So the idea is not only to break the dependency, but also to protect the wealth from leaving you and your family. It's a win-win for both your parents or your loved ones and yourself. You see, sending money via Western Union is just another way that money will go to loved ones, and then they will go and spend it, and that wealth will leave your family. Even if they got the full $200, within a matter of days and weeks, that money would have left the family. You see, the issue here is not even just yourself. It is the wealth that is within the family. It benefits everybody. I hope you're enjoying this series. I hope your mind is shifting. Let me tell you, there is more. Stay tuned in to the next video.